Rumah strata ini dah jadi satu pilihan yang popular juga oleh kebanyakan masyarakat kita. So antara yang perlu pemilik strata ni tahu adalah macam saya terangkan tadi, hak dan tanggungjawab mereka. Mereka boleh cakna lah dan ambil peduli tentang apa yang berlaku, siapa badan pengurusan.
Soalan yang kita akan ungkapkan pada kali ini ialah cara untuk mendapatkan hak milik strata. Bagi mendapatkan hak milik strata, ianya akan melalui 6 proses yang amat mudah. Ini terpakai bagi pemilik rumah yang membeli rumah di bawah hak milik induk atau dikenali sebagai master title. Pertamanya,
Hai semua, kembali kepada Azri Law Firm Podcast dan hari ini kita membincangkan tentang isu-isu perumahan masa kini. Contohnya, projek perumahan yang telah terbengkalai. Semenjak kehadiran COVID-19, isu-isu
bolehkah saya beli 2 unit berkembar dan pecah di dalam menjadi 1 unit? Jiran di atas suka siram pokok sampai kena baju yang saya sidai di balkoni. Apa yang perlu saya lakukan? Bolehkah saya beli
bermula dengan sepasang suami isteri yang telah didaftarkan sebagai peguam bela dan peguam cara pada usia yang muda. Pada awalnya, pasangan peguam ini berkhidmat dengan firma guaman yang lain. Dalam masa yang sama, mereka mempunyai harapan yang sangat tinggi untuk mempunyai sebuah firma guaman sendiri.
Very good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Morgan Prasada Naidu Puspakaran and I will be the moderator for the webinar today. Today we will be presenting on corporate liability provision under section 17A of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Act 2009. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in our YouTube live chat and I will bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have time for questions at the end. In light of the recent COVID-19 pandemic, we at Azri Law Firm would like to inform all out there to always stay safe and practice the 3 W's, which are wear your mask, wash your hands, and also watch your distance. Please be reminded that the case count for today is at 27,831, which is a very high amount. So please do follow the relevant guidelines adequately. You can also get to know us and communicate with us better by downloading our Azri Law apps in Play Store or App Store or at our website, where you can also subscribe to our newsletter as well. Okay, jangan lupa untuk like, subscribe dan share live video webinar ini under Azri Law Firm kepada kenalan-kenalan anda. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to our presenter, Ms. Nurul Hanani binti Ahmad. Our presenter today is the associate of Azri Law Firm, where she handles corporate banking and commercial matters. Please, Ms.
Thank you, Morgan, for the introduction and good afternoon to everyone. It's great to be speaking to everyone into this session. So do not hesitate, let's start the webinar. So Morgan mentioned about that the topic today will be on corporate liability provision under section 17A. So you may wonder, what is corporate liability? So corporate liability, corporate organization nowadays would be made answerable and accountable to actions committed by their top management, employees, and associated persons. So it means that although the action of bribery or corruption is not done by the organization in its entirety, they might still be liable for such misconduct circumstances. So corporate liability provision of section 70A, actually this is not a new topic since it has already been implemented on 5th April 2018, and it took into effect on 1st of June 2020. So it has been almost 2 years since Section 17A has been implemented. So all I can say, this is actually not a new topic, it's not a new law, and you can actually find a lot of discussions, a lot of seminars or webinars about this topic. So maybe for today's session, for those of you who never heard of Section 17A, this will be a great thing to learn today. But if you have heard or you have attended any webinar related to this, then maybe it could be like a refreshment, sort of refreshment course for you. Yeah. So of course, we will have to look into the elements of Section 17A of the MACC Act 2009. So subsection 1, it says that a commercial organization commits an offense if a person associated with the commercial organization corruptly gives, agrees to give, promises or offers to offer any person any gratification, whether for the benefit of that person or another person with intent, A, to obtain or retain business for the commercial organization, or to obtain or retain an advantage in the conduct of business for the commercial organization. So as I have highlighted here, these are the keywords in Section 17A of the MACC Act. So in order for a person to be liable under Section 17A, these would be the elements involved for this offense. So first thing first, commercial organization. So Section 17A, subsection 8, it defines who are or what are commercial organization. Number 1 is company incorporated under the Companies Act 2016, and it carries on a business in Malaysia or elsewhere. Number 2, it's a company whether incorporated, wherever incorporated and carries on a business or part of a business. So number 2 means foreign company that has business in Malaysia. So it's not just limited to company incorporated in Malaysia, but also foreign company that has business in Malaysia. So number 3 is partnership that is registered under Partnership Act 1961, and it has business in Malaysia or elsewhere. Number 4, partnership registered under the Limited Liability Partnership Act, and it carries on business in Malaysia or elsewhere. And number 5 is general partnership wherever formed and carries on a business or part of a business in Malaysia. So what does it mean here? It means that local companies could be liable for failing to prevent bribery which occurred beyond the borders of Malaysia. It's not just limited to act, perform, or conducted within the country. And if it's committed by your foreign agents who are residing in Malaysia or who commit the offense outside Malaysia, this provision will still apply to you. So similar to the UK Bribery Act 2010, the provision will have extraterritorial effect as it covers locally incorporated companies and partnership, as well as companies and partnership incorporated overseas with business presence in Malaysia. So if you may also ask, what about societies? What about statutory bodies? So societies, because they are registered under the ROS, and statutory bodies, they are incorporated pursuant to their respective statutes. So Section 70A will not apply.
All right. How does Section 17A cater to this specific provision?
Hold on, I think we have a bit of technical issue. Is the slide showing properly, Morgan? Is it on full screen? Is it on full screen?
It's on small screen. It's on small screen, not full screen.
I'll just reshare.
All right.
So sorry about the technical issue. Sorry, it happens, but is it on full screen now?
No, it's still on the same thing, the same way.
What about now? Is it?
No, still the same.
Try to stop sharing first. Okay. Or is it okay now?
It's still like that, Kak. Probably. Can I try to share the screen, Kak? Is
Yeah,
it okay?
sure, can.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, we apologize for the technical issue.
Is it okay, Morgan? Everything?
Okay, can you see in full screen? See? Is it in full screen?
It's not appearing on my screen.
Okay, is it okay?
Okay. Yeah, now it's good. Now it's good. Thank you,
All right.
Morgan.
Okay, welcome.
All right. So I wasn't done with the elements of section 17E just now. So maybe you can go to the next slide where I was explaining about persons associated. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So if you read through this provision of section 17A, it involves persons associated. So subsection 6, it defines it explains who are these persons associated. Number one, it would be directors, partners, and employees of the company or partnership. Number two are the persons who perform services for and on behalf of the commercial organization. So on this note, there is no need for you to have a formal agency or services agreement, so long as the circumstances can show that the nature of relationship between you, your supplier, your service provider, or your agent, even your agent. So section 17A, section 6, it creates a rather extensive category. It's not just limited to your director, partners, and employees, because this is, you can understand it, it's straightforward, director, partners, employees. But when it comes to your agent, your service provider, supplier, your distributor, your JV partner, and even your subsidiary, they are also part of your part of the person associated under the definition of subsection 6. Yeah. So moving on. So gratification, the main element of section 17A is gratification. So gratification, based on the definition in Merriam-Webster, it is defined as reward or ganjaran. We call it ganjaran. So gratification under section 17A, in the interpretation section, it laid down few types of gratification. So it can be money and property, whether movable or immovable. It can be office and employment. So somebody offers for you a job in the company. So it can be a form of gratification as well. And then it can also be any valuable consideration, for example, discount or rebate. It can also be a release of liability against any loan, service or favor, release of money through legal liability, and as simple as any offer, undertaking, or promise, whether conditional or unconditional, of any gratification. Meaning to say, it's not necessary that you give. Tak semestinya you the provision will apply if you give, the action of giving. But if you even promise or you offer to that person any form of gratification, then section 78 can apply to you. So on this note, going back, I actually have a video that I would like to show to the audience today. on gratification. So after you have done watching the video, it's a short video from Jabatan Penerangan Malaysia. It's uploaded on YouTube. So actually, if you didn't manage to watch during the session today, you can actually go on YouTube and find it. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, hai Saman. Masuk.
Okay ke? Sihat ke?
Sehat. So, you dari mana ni?
Oh, saya dari Damansara. Kebetulan
I
lalu
see.
sini, saya singgah lah nak bagi DO dengan invoice yang hari tu kita buat tu.
Okay.
Printing tu.
Okay, yang hari tu punya buku kan?
Ya, betul.
So, nak sign kat mana ni?
Dekat belakang, Puan. Sini.
Okay, Salman. So, you bagi pada I punya kelani kat luar, eh?
Okay, thank you, Puan.
Ya, sama.
Puan,
Ya?
bincang sikit. Hari tu, saya nampak ada advertisement kat sistem untuk hantar supply kertas, sebenarnya kertas A4.
Ya, betul. Okay.
Saya nak masuk tender, boleh ke, Puan?
Oh, you pun boleh supply juga ya A4 paper?
Semua boleh, Puan. Stationery, A4 paper semua boleh.
Oh, okay, macam ni. Betul, kita dah iklankan untuk supply A4 paper. Tapi iklan tu dah ditutup dan kita dah ada senarai syarikat yang disenarai pendek dah. So, tak apalah, maybe you boleh try lain kali.
Okay. Puan tak boleh tolong ke syarikat kami?
Okay. Okay, Salman, tadi saya dah bagi tahu you memang kita dah tutup iklan tu dan dah ada senarai syarikat yang disenarai pendek. Okay, you boleh cuba lain kali. Okay.
Mungkin tak cukup kot. Puan, semua boleh discuss, boleh bincang lah, Puan. Tolonglah saya, tolonglah syarikat saya.
Okay, Salman, tadi saya dah bagi tahu you, saya dah bagi tahu syarikat dah disenarai pendek dan saya adalah pegawai yang berpendirian. Okay, saya harap you faham dan you boleh simpan balik. Okay. So, ada apa-apa lagi?
Puan, you tolong saya, I tolong you. Kita sama-sama happy, Puan. Ambil lah. Macam-macam boleh buat dengan tu. Macam tu lah, Puan. Handphone Puan pun saya tengok dah lama. Boleh beli yang baru dengan tu. Sana, okey.
Okey. Okey, Encik Salman. Saya dah bagi tahu Encik Salman, saya adalah pegawai yang berintegriti dan Encik Salman boleh ambil balik sampul Encik Salman ni. Encik Salman mungkin boleh cuba pada pegawai lain tapi bukan pada saya. Dan Encik Salman nampak pintu bilik saya, Encik Salman boleh keluar sekarang.
Jalankan tugas dengan amanah, jangan amalkan rasuah.
Yeah, so that's just a short video from Jabatan Penerangan. It's an awareness video on not to accept any bribery from anyone. So I think from the video it illustrates the form of gratification in the form of money given or offered to a person. Yeah, so I hope that will give you a clearer picture of what gratification means and what are the type of gratification that falls under Section 70A. So Morgan, can you, yeah. Morgan, I think you are muted.
Okay, can you hear me, Puan?
Yes, can.
Okay, how does Section 17A cater to this provision?
Yep. Maybe you can because I don't see the slide. So if you can, so that at least the audience can see the content here.
All right.
Okay, coming back to your question, how does Section 17A cater to this provision? So Section 17A, it establishes a corporate liability principle under which a commercial organization can be held liable if one or more of its employees or affiliates commits corruption for the profit of the organization. So whether or not the higher management or its representative are aware of the corruption activities perpetrated by its employees or associated persons, the commercial organization, meaning the company or the partnership, is likewise held culpable. Meaning to say, employee yang buat, bos pun boleh kena. Meaning to say, it's something like that. Okay. Yeah, so it's, like I said, employee buat, bos pun kena. So it would be good lah if you can take responsibility for your inaction. But for Section 17A, it doesn't apply. It doesn't work that way, because even if you are even if it's the employee is doing the offense, company could also be held liable. Okay.
All right, Cik. What actually occurs upon conviction for a corporate liability offense under Section 17A?
Yeah, so these are the penalties that can be imposed if you are found guilty for the offense of Section 17A. One is fine for a sum of not less than 10 times the value of the gratification, or 1 ringgit million, which is the higher. So minimum is 10 times the value of the gratification. Number 2 is imprisonment, maximum up to 20 years, or you may be liable to both. So imprisonment, because you know that Section 17A, it applies on company. So how do you actually put a company in a jail, right? So it's not possible. You cannot exactly throw the company files or their building inside the jail. So of course you would have to go against the people inside the company. So that's why Section 17A, subsection 3, it provides that senior personnel such as the director, controller, officer, partner, or person who is concerned with the management of the company or partnership at the time of the commission of the offense shall be deemed to have also committed the same offense. So meaning to say, it holds the people, the senior management people, accountable for the act of the employees or associated persons, and they can be imprisoned if the company is found to be liable for the offense. Yeah.
All right, Kak. What are the defenses that are available for commercial organizations and other bodies?
So of course, for every offense, there are defenses. If it's for commercial organization, meaning company or partnership, Section 17A, subsection 4, it provides that if the company or partnership is able to prove that it had in place adequate procedures to prevent persons associated with the commercial organization from undertaking such conduct. So adequate procedures, there is actually a guideline on how company or partnership or any commercial organization can create or implement adequate procedures to prevent the occurrence of any corrupt activities within the company itself. So this guideline assists commercial organizations in drafting up their adequate procedures. And it's not like a compulsory or mandatory, because it's served only as a guideline. So as a company or partnership, what you can do is you can cater this guideline, follow the guideline, and then do whatever necessary based on the size of your company and what is needed for your company. Yeah. And for senior personnel, because they could also be liable for the offense under Section 17A, what they would have to do is they must show, in order for them to be acquitted from the offense of Section 17A, what they must show is they have actually exercised due diligence to prevent commission of the offense, and they have to prove that the misconduct was done without his or her consent. So as simple as it sounds, what a company or partnership or commercial organization would need to do is to create or implement adequate procedure And as for the senior personnel, they would have to make an additional effort to show or to prove that when the misconduct happened, it was not done under their direction and it wasn't done without their consent. Yeah. So the adequate procedures, what are the adequate procedures? So this is actually based on the principle of trust under the acronym TRUST, trust. So what is T? T is top level commitment, meaning to say the company's top management would be responsible to ensure that the company or the partnership is operating in complete conformity with the law. The company should establish and manage an anti-corruption compliance program for this purpose. So what they do for top level is usually the board of directors or the senior management, the key persons in the company. So they must demonstrate their commitment to fight corruption, and what are the efforts taken for them to prevent corrupt activities within the company itself. So of course, one way of doing it is by implementing policies that would apply to everyone in the company. So next is R. R is risk assessment. So it is recommended under the guideline for once every 3 years. The company, the partnership or commercial organization do a risk assessment. So it would allow the company or the commercial organization to identify potential chances for corruption and fraud activities as a result of governance system flaws. So for example, several levels of management in a corporation that conduct sophisticated and large-scale financial transactions, they may represent a significant risk of corruption as compared to company which conduct transactions without use of agents or middlemen. So it may pose a low risk of corruption. So for risk assessment, you can either perform a self-risk assessment, you do it internally, or you can also appoint a third-party advisor or consultant to perform this risk assessment for you. So this guideline is not rigid. It's up to you. It's up to how much you are willing to spend to conduct the assessment. And then so most important is to perform an overall assessment as to how likely that your company will be exposed to corrupt activities within the company. So you is undertake control measures. So to reduce the risk of corruption, companies should put in place appropriate controls and contingency plans that are reasonable and proportionate to the company's nature and scale. So for example, if you want to have financial control, you may have multiple signatories for transactions. And then for non-financial controls, you can have separation of powers, you can have due diligence process. For example, when you are selecting vendors for a certain service or for a certain goods, so you perform a due diligence process, and then you can also have a clear reporting line to ensure there are check and balance. So these are some of the examples of the control methods. So the next one will be S. So systematic review. So you have your policy. Now you have your policy. You have crafted your anti-bribery and corruption policy. We call it EBC policy. You have your compliance program. You have anti-bribery compliance program. What you will need to do is to ensure that these policies are continuously reviewed and monitored. And you must make sure that the policies are being enforced properly. So how do you do it? You can also conduct internal audits. You can develop monitoring program, and you can also pursue disciplinary action against wrongdoers for this reason. And the last principle is T. It's training and communication. So there's no use if you have a beautiful policy crafted, but you just put it in a drawer. You never convey the message you never tell the employees about your policy. So what you need to do is provide training. You must create awareness of your policy and make sure that your employees, not just employees, but also it must be your business agents, your suppliers, anyone associated with your business must be aware and understand what is your take about corruption in your company. So that would, if you have complied with the basic principle of trust, then I would say it will create a great defense whenever the company is caught under Section 17A. This would be a good defense for you. Yeah. So keep in mind that the guidelines are designed for general use and it's not intended to be prescriptive. So no pressure, you can actually cater according to your business needs, so long as you are in compliance of the requirement under Section 17A. And then if you succeeded, if you have created this program, the anti-compliance program, what would happen if the company and senior personnel succeed in their defense? The associated persons, meaning the employees who have committed the bribery, committed the offense, would be charged under Section 16 or Section 17 of the MACC Act under their own personal capacity. So the company, the senior personnel can be released from their liability under Section 17A. Okay.
All right, Che, I believe that there will be a landmark case or a first case when it comes to each and every implementation of different laws. So this Section 17A had came into effect quite in a recent, I think in a recent time. So what is the first case that became a trademark of Section 17A applicability and the corporate liability provisions existence?
Yep, there is actually one, and for now it's just the only one case where a company was charged under Section 17A. The company is Pristine Offshore, right? It's all over the news, where the company was accused with one count of bribery involving 321,000 and 350 ringgit, in order to ensure that it received a subcontract from Petronas Carigali Berhad. So this is the first case that became a trademark for Section 17A. It shows that the enforcement is starting to, look into cases pertaining to Section 17A. Yep. Yeah, so it's rather odd that you see on the news headline, usually you would see individual A, individual B being charged, didakwa atas kesalahan, but this time around, it's the companies have been named as being named in the news headline. So it's rather odd to see this.
All right, Sheikh. What are the prominent issues and points of Section 17A and corporate liability that had been applied in the case of Pristine Offshore Sinjar Berhad 2021?
Yeah, so Pristine Offshore, they were charged under Section 17A after it was discovered that their former director had allegedly offered a bribe of this amount as payment to acquire a subcontract for the company. So the bribe was reportedly provided to Mr. Mazrul Ramli, which is who is the CEO of Dilium Primera Berhad, as a reward to ensure that the company will be awarded subcontract from Petronas Carigali. So this is based on the penalty imposed under Section 17A. If the company is found guilty, the company could face a fine of not less than 10 times the bribe amount, which means they can face minimum fine of 3.21 million. It's not a small amount. It's 3.21 million, or a maximum sentence of 20 years in jail if they are convicted. As of now, the case is still ongoing because they pleaded not guilty. So the case is still ongoing. We have yet to learn about the decision of this case. Yeah.
Okay, Cik, it looks like we have covered all our questions. And is there anything else that you would like to cover before we wrap all up?
Yeah, to conclude, it's especially the top level management directors, partners are ultimately responsible to ensure that anti-corruption measures are applied at all levels of the business. Companies should always seek legal assistance on implementing appropriate procedures under Section 17A, because it is a defense. If you are ever caught under Section 17A, it will serve as a defense against your liability under Section 17A. So in light of the foregoing, companies, partnerships, or any commercial organizations, the directors, partners, and other senior personnel must be wary of and stay current with the rules and regulations governing this corporate liability provision under the MACC Act. And in order to ensure that their company's adequate procedures, anti-corruption program and policies are well adopted, implemented, and enforced. Yeah. So maybe I like to add a bit on, there is actually a duty for a person to report. If you are ever, if someone ever offer you any form of gratification, what will be your duty? You actually have a statutory duty to report such gift, promise, or offer by giving the name. If you know who are the person who offered you such gratification, to the nearest police station or to the to any nearest MACC office. So what would be the offense? Because this is a statutory duty. If you don't report, it is considered an offense, and you can be slapped with a fine, maximum of 100K, and imprisonment, maximum term of 10 years, or both. So it's something that you must, you know, understand that it is now become a statutory duty. It's mandatory for you to report if you ever encounter such a situation. Yeah.
All right, we'll be checking if there are any questions related to the webinar posed by the audience. All right, I believe there are no any questions. So first of all, I would like to say that great sharing by Cik Hanani here regarding the corporate liability and all relevant provisions. And in regards of that, I would like to thank Cik Hanani for sharing all her expertise and knowledge in regards of corporate liability and Section 17A as well. So it looks like we have come to the end of our webinar, and I would like to thank all the audience that had joined our session today. Seperti biasa, setiap minggu kita memang akan adakan program seperti ini, webinar-webinar yang lain. Jadi jangan lupa untuk like, subscribe dan share video-video webinar SG Law Firm kepada kenalan-kenalan anda. Dan juga stay tune untuk perkongsian yang akan dibawa pada masa akan datang oleh SG Law Firm. We absolutely appreciate and look forward to your feedback. So do feel free to comment on any matters which will educate and also prepare us for upcoming webinars. Jika ada sebarang pertanyaan atau jika kamu memerlukan lebih informasi, anda boleh layari Facebook, YouTube, Instagram dan LinkedIn SG Law Firm. You can also get to know and communicate with us better by downloading our SG Law app in Play Store or App Store, or at our website where you can subscribe to our newsletter as well. Jangan lupa untuk like, subscribe dan share live video webinar SG Law Firm ini kepada kenalan-kenalan anda. Jumpa lagi di masa hadapan, and in meantime, please do stay safe and please follow all the relevant guidelines against COVID-19. Thank you, and hope you all have a nice day.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, everyone.